Hello friends, and welcome to the latest issue of the Wiser newsletter. And for this week, I'm going to be looking at Amazon, and particularly their relationship with their employees, and also Jeff Bezos, and the things that he's been getting up to in the last couple of weeks. Now, Amazon made the equivalent of 3 years' worth of profits last year in 2020. This was thanks to their tech-infused network of trucks, planes, warehouses, and importantly, their staff. Now, the Amazon machine responded to the pandemic by working pretty much continuously, keeping up with the unprecedented increase in demand. I should remind you that toilet paper sales were up 186 between March and April of last year alone. Now, to meet the demand, Amazon hired more people in the shortest time frame than any American corporation in history, and now have about 1.3 million employees worldwide. However, according to a 9-month investigation by the New York Times, they found that Amazon's system of managing workers has broken down. Entitled "The Amazon That Customers Don't See," the article gave 5 key takeaways. First, Amazon has been churning through employees at around 150% a year. To put that into context, that means replacing the entire hourly workforce every 8 months. Number 2, their computer system errors cause some workers to lose benefits and even their jobs in error. The issue stems from the way that Amazon evaluates workers like machines, with automated systems that track productivity, benefits, overtime assignments, firings, and more. Number 3, Amazon's strict monitoring of workers has stoked a culture of fear. This was reinforced during an appearance on CBS This Morning by CEO Jeff Bezos following the release of the report by the New York Times. And Bezos expressed his preference for employee turnover because, in quotes, newer employees are fresher. Now, the New York Times also reported that Bezos intentionally limits upward mobility in the warehouses. Number 4, there is rising concern over racial inequality. The day after the New York Times published their report, Vox's Recode reported dozens of detailed allegations of racial bias and discrimination on the job, with a finger pointed at the company's HR department. And number 5, Amazon's most contentious policies are linked to Bezos' original vision for Amazon. The Amazon founder famously said the company's goal was to be the Earth's most customer-centric company. And the implication here is that in chasing this single-focused pursuit of delighting the customer, it came at the expense of just about everything else, especially the staff. Now, maybe sensing that this was all coming, Jeff Bezos wrote in his most recent and what will be his last shareholder letter in April that there's work to be done. He wrote, "We need a better vision of how we create value for employees, a vision for their success," he said. Maybe a little too late. Now, what do you get when you have the world's richest man and you add in a spaceship? Probably a midlife crisis. Because ironically, this news about the way Amazon treats its staff comes at the same time that Jeff Bezos is showing off his latest toy, which is a rocket ship. Now, Bezos has confirmed that he and his brother will be passengers on the first ever manned spaceflight for his Blue Origin space exploration company. They will also be joined by an unnamed bidder who just pledged $28 million in a live auction for a seat on the inaugural flight. The flight is scheduled for the 20th of July, which coincides with the anniversary of the 1969 Apollo 11 moon landing. Now, Blue Origin has a reusable rocket ship called New Shepard, which is capable of taking 6 passengers to the edge of space. There are no pilots for this 11-minute flight that fires the passengers to an altitude of around 100 kilometers. This is known as the Kármán line, where Earth's atmosphere ends and space begins. To find out more about the space race between Bezos, Elon Musk, and Sir Richard Branson, go to the Wiser in 5 article that I did a couple of weeks ago, or watch the YouTube that I made about the space race between wealthy billionaires. Bezos was also in the news because apparently he pays little or no income tax. This was after leaked IRS tax reports appeared to show that the super rich don't pay much or any income tax. The leak from ProPublica named Bezos, Elon Musk, and Warren Buffett amongst the 25 uber richest men, and they are all men, in America. The issue is that when you have so much wealth, you don't need an income, which means you don't pay income tax. For example, Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg has a salary of $1, which, by the way, so did Steve Jobs when he was at Apple. Now, apparently, the uber wealthy can take loans out against their immense stock portfolio at ridiculously low interest rates, and then they live off the loan, they live off the borrowing. That way, they don't incur any tax, and it's all perfectly legit. Now, this comes less than a month after it was reported that the US government, via NASA, are going to give Bezos' space company, Blue Origin, a $10 billion bailout. It's all right for some. Now, by way of contrast, Mackenzie Scott, the ex-wife to Bezos and the co-founder of Amazon, who also happens to be the 20th wealthiest person in the world. Mackenzie Scott announced that she's giving away another $2.7 billion to 286 organisations. To date, Scott has given away around $8 billion, which is about 15% of her wealth, to organisations that work in communities and make society a much better place to live. And finally, Samsung's stretchable electronic skin can detect and display your heartbeat. Samsung says it has developed a stretchable skin technology with a built-in electronic display. Inside this wearable tech, they have a heartbeat monitor similar to the type you find in an Apple Watch. Notably, the electronics giant is convinced that its trials can pave the way for commercialization of stretchable devices with large, high-resolution screens, which it expects to crop up in any manner of healthcare products. Now, I'd like to give a plug to 2 newsletter apps that will make your life a lot easier. They certainly do mine when I'm creating these newsletters. The first is a free service from The Sample. You basically go online, you tell it what you're interested in, and the algorithms will find newsletters that match your preferences, and then they will send them to you. The second is Slick Inbox. This is an app that gives you a unique email address. This way you can forward all your newsletter subscriptions to the Slick Inbox that you can run on Android or iOS, and it does not clutter up your email inbox with all of your newsletters that you can read. Thank you very much for reading, listening and watching this issue of the Wiser newsletter. I hope that you have enjoyed it. If you do, please let us know by either leaving a comment below or clicking the little heart button if one appears on the platform that you're finding this on right now. And please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching this video right now. So until next week, thanks very much for watching, listening and reading. And remember, inside information gives you leverage.